Italy's Coast Guard has rescued more than 1,300 migrants from the Mediterranean. Local rescuers were helped by Navy vessels and even a fishing boat to bring people to shore from boats spotted drifting as far as 160 kilometers off the coast. Search and rescue efforts off the southern tip of Calabria are still ongoing. Now, over 4,000 migrants have arrived in Italy over the past 4 days. Rescue centres in several areas are overcrowded. This latest rescue operation comes after Italy's far-right government announced tough new plans to crack down on people smugglers.
Cramped and overcrowded. This migration centre on the Italian island of Lampedusa is over capacity. The number of migrants braving the perilous journey by sea to Italy has increased in recent weeks, and coast guards in the country's south have stepped up rescue operations. These migrants have reached a port in the region of Calabria safely, but not all are so lucky. On the same day, the bodies of 2 young girls and an adult washed ashore, raising the confirmed death toll of a boat disaster that happened in the area 2 weeks earlier to 76. Earlier this week, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni chose precisely this region to announce her plans to crack down on people smuggling.
So we have passed a decree law in this Council of Ministers that addresses this issue, and we have done so to reaffirm that we are determined to defeat the human trafficking responsible for this tragedy. Our response to what has happened is a policy of greater firmness on this issue.
La nostra risposta a ciò che è accaduto è una politica di maggiore fermezza sul tema.
Italy's right-wing government is known for its strict anti-migration policies. This also includes restricting rescue operations aimed at boats carrying migrants in Italian waters. Protesters took to the streets of the small town of Cutro on Saturday to condemn the recent boat tragedy. This sign, which reads "Government Slaughter," makes it very clear who they think is responsible.
We're here to commemorate yet another slaughter. Unfortunately, people keep dying at sea. We need to stop these slaughters, these homicides.
As the weather gets warmer, more boats carrying migrants are expected to make the dangerous journey to Europe's shores.
For more, let's go to Rome to speak to journalist Seema Gupta. Seema, what's the latest you can tell us about the rescue operations?
Well, it's like what you mentioned, essentially multiple operations over the course of Friday and Saturday. We understand over 1,000 migrants have been rescued or aided to be brought to Italian shores. The Italian Coast Guard bringing 504 migrants onto their vessel and bringing them to Reggio Calabria in the south of Italy. In the early hours of Saturday, another vessel was rescued where some 370 were taken on board to the same vicinity. The Coast Guard making it very clear that these operations were difficult to carry out because these vessels carrying these migrants are very much overcrowded, and also you have a situation, of course, of rough seas, which is making that difficult for them to carry out the operations. 487 other migrants were escorted. Their boat was escorted to the Calabrian port of Crotone. Now, this port, of course, is where there was that deadly shipwreck some 2 weeks ago that really shocked many Italians, coming 10 years after the last such very deadly shipwreck to take place off the Italian coast. And then 200 people were also picked up off the Sicilian coast. So, yes, it's just been a massive number of people arriving over the last 2 days. The rescue migrants center shelter on the island of Lampedusa itself overrun with some 3,000 or so migrants in a shelter that really is supposed to house just hundreds of migrants. So in total, if you look at the figures, more than 17,000 people have reached the Italian shores this year alone. Now that compares to some 6,000 in the first 2.5 months of 2022.
Now, the European Union has agreed tougher sanctions to tackle what they call irregular migration. Is the EU here accommodating the far-right government in Italy?
Well, I think the far-right government of Giorgia Meloni, on her part, she has rejected that there was any problems in terms of the rescue operation with that deadly shipwreck. However, that said, the prosecutors in Crotone have started an investigation to see whether that's occurred. They're sticking very much the line that it's the people smugglers that are to blame, which is why they put in place that law calling for tougher sanctions, tougher jail terms for those people traffickers, and saying that they will be looking into more channels for legal migration. But what the government is calling for, and what Meloni has even released a statement on Saturday saying very clearly that they want a joint European effort to deal with this issue, both in terms of strengthening the borders as well as enhancing cooperation with expulsions. They want to see that kind of action, real concrete measures from the European Union. The European Union, when these tragedies occur, say that they will do something and have said that they will. But I think many Italians are hoping to see more solidarity in dealing with this issue.
Seema, thank you very much for your insights. That was Seema Gupta in Rome.